Hi, everybody. The nice thing about this whole recording is that I can do multiple takes, and it doesn't matter if I get it wrong. I can just try again. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the work that I've been doing. Um, let's put this in here. All right. So I was going to tell you a lot about what I did over the summer. I'm going to skip over most of that. So I started off being interested in North American extinct bird species and extirpated bird species, which means they live somewhere else but not here anymore. And I was interested in what these showed about our relationship to the natural environment, which is a problematic statement in itself, the idea that the natural environment is separate from our environment. So I was looking at a bunch of different birds over the summer, and while I was doing that, I started trying to get access to museum collections to photograph some specimens, because it's really hard to do photography about something that doesn't exist. So the first one I tried to do, I was rejected. They said that the Smithsonian doesn't really have the time to deal with me because I'm not a scientist. I'm not doing a scientific project. And they said try the American. The American also rejected me, saying basically the same thing. And then I started thinking about what these emails show about how our relationship with the natural environment is mediated. And it's also this sort of weird thing where the specimens of these animals are more well protected than the animals were when they were alive. So I started printing these emails and photographing the birds in context where I could find them, and trying to work with the people who wrote the emails to edit them so they would be fit for public use. So this would be the museum controlling our experience in yet another way. I got a kind of interesting response to that. I thought it was reasonable. The guy from the Smithsonian said, okay, here, this is what we're going to do. And I said, okay. The guy from the American passed it off to someone else who said, no, you can't use it. So I tried to give them a fully redacted version where it was just punctuation like this. And then they sent me an email that said, John, nothing I can do to prevent you from doing this silliness, but we will pass this on to curators at all their museum collections to let them know how serious you are and how you treat them. So they seem to take offense at this idea that they control my understanding, of things in general. So to remedy this, they're going to control my access to those things and, continue the process that I was talking about. So I've been working on presentation for this, and for the show at Counterspace in Las Vegas, I framed two pieces in a sort of a museum style with a diptych in it where it's the email and the photograph. So I'm going to be continuing with this semester, and trying to contact other institutions, seeing if I can get access, seeing what happens when I do get access, and also probably continuously being rejected and documenting my adventures. So that's going to be sort of a side project the whole time because it's a lot of waiting. So I'm also going to start on something I began over the summer. I made this page from a field guide, and I started thinking about what would a field guide to extinct birds look like. So I showed their former range and then their current range as a bunch of little dots where they exist in museums. And the rest of it is pretty dry, pretty standard. But it made me think about how you would approach looking for these birds in museums. And I kind of want to go off of that and make something that's a kind of a fusion of a field guide and something that talks more about how the birds went extinct and habitat. Still a somewhat loosely formed idea. It's going to be a book and have maybe not this text heavy, but it's going to have a lot of text and also photographs of the birds in the museums, of other museum things, depending on whether I can get access to collections or not, and also the environments where the birds originally lived as far as I can actually access them. So that's what I have planned for now through the end of the semester. And we'll see where that takes me.